Hello, we're going to be talking about the life of the Goliath Grouper. So some information about the Goliath Grouper is that they have an average lifespan of 37 years and an exploited population, but they can actually live for 50 or 100 years without human activity. This species has been critically endangered since 1994, and they grow up to an average of 8.2 feet or 2.5 meters and weigh about 800 pounds or 363 kilograms. They're found in tropical waters in 5 to 50 meters deep. They are protandrous hermaphrodites, which means that they are initially born females, but later in life they become males. And the Goliath grouper is one of 159 species of grouper. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. This is our general overview. So we're going to be starting here on the bottom right with these grouper spawning aggregations. They will release their eggs and their sperm via the broadcast method, and these eggs will fertilize, and within 24 hours of fertilization, they will hatch into planktonic larvae, and they will spend adrift in the water for 30 to 80 days towards shore. And when they get to the coastline, they will find shelter in structures like mangroves and seabeds. And in the next 5 to 7 years, they'll grow up and they will migrate out of their habitat into the open water, into coral reefs. And this is another perspective talking about the same thing. So adults will spawn offshore. The planktonic larvae will spend their time in the open water, then make their way into shore where they will grow up, and then after that they'll migrate offshore into the coral reefs. So let's follow the life of Greg the Goliath Grouper. Greg's parents, Grant and Grace, met at a spawning aggregation usually made up of 100 Goliath groupers somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico or on or near the shelf. The parents procreate via the broadcast method, which means that the female will send out her eggs in the open water in a water column, and the male would release sperm in the same way. And this gives an offspring a greater chance of fertilizing, and it's less likely for them to be eaten by predators at the reef surface. And one female releases about 1 million eggs. So if we look at the images on our right, the female releases her eggs, and a microscopic view of that is on our top right, and they're about 1 millimeter or 1 millimeter in diameter. Stage 2, castaway. So Greg and his siblings will be adrift for the next 30 to 80 days toward the shore via water currents. During that time, he will hatch into a planktonic larvae within 24 hours of fertilization. Eventually, Greg and his siblings will end up near or on the coastline, in which they will live in habitats like mangroves, seagrass, bulkheads, and other places of structure. Stage 3 is nursery grounds. So once settled, Greg will spend the next 5 to 7 years growing up, living in his newly found home, or until he reaches about 36 inches or 1 meter. Stage 4 is migration. So this is it. This is Greg's opportunity to finally become an adult. He is sexually mature. He migrates toward the coral reef, away from the safe coastline into a more spacious habitat. And this is going to be Greg's general final destination. He will live on crustaceans and slow-moving fish for the rest of his life. Stage 5 is sex change. So groupers vary when they change sex. Some stay female, while some may change into male much sooner. The sex ratio is also a factor. If females outnumber males, and the dominant females will change sex in order to balance that out. And since Greg just migrated, he remains female, but that will change in a couple of years. Now stage 6. A couple more years have passed, and now Greg is a fully grown male. Greg and other grouper aggregate in an area off reefs, and the cycle comes to a close. Greg is an adult, and he will be the dominant male in his reef, and depending on the level of human activity he faces, he will live a total of 50 to 100 years. And that is the life of Greg the Goliath Grouper. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.